Hello, I'm Michael Parker, and welcome to God Save the King. I'm here today with biblical researcher and historian Tim Keyes to talk about his research into the Nativity. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you, Michael. You see a documentary about any famous person, pretty much right at the beginning they say, well, the legend goes like this, but the truth is a little different. So they really despised the Persians. So Alexander the Great's father, he spent his entire career intending to invade Persia and pay him back.
Where do we start? Who are the wise men? What is their origin?
According to what they knew and what they understood, they made travel as reasonable as possible, and people did it all the time, right? In the traditional nativity story, when Mary finds out she's pregnant, she visits her cousin Elizabeth in Judea. So she travels. So it can't be that bizarre of a thing. And it's funny because no one ever talks about that trip and talks about how dangerous it is. And yet when Mary and Joseph are traveling to Bethlehem, all of a sudden it's dangerous. That they have this meeting, and then Herod sends the Magi to Bethlehem and says, oh yeah, you know, when you get there, send word, because then I'll come and worship him too. Well, that's not his plan. He's going to send his black ops guys in. Well, there's the royal succession. And this is another really key moment, because that's what Jesus is. They show up at the court of Herod the Great, who, by the way, remember, he is a Roman appointee. He is not a legitimate king. He is a Roman appointee, and they show up. Everybody knows who these guys are. It's not some mystery who the Magi are. Everybody knows who they are and what they do. They oversee royal succession. And then they show up at the court of Herod and they say, oh yeah, by the way, where's the real king? The wise men came out of Parthia. This is Roman territory. They're in enemy territory. If three men were traveling alone in enemy territory and they were a legitimate threat to Herod, Herod would have just made them disappear and no one ever would have known.
The donkey thing.
I know. It's a lot of people's favorite part of the story. You don't put a pregnant woman on the back of a donkey. But once we get that picture, we have a timeless epic that is far more interesting than the traditional version. It's more interesting, it's more rational, it's more reasonable, and in my opinion, it's also more exciting.
This all adds up to a completely different picture.
I agree.
More plausible, but completely different.